I don't like the fit. I've said that from the
Me
start.
neither. I don't love the fit. I mean, I guess
Um,
he would give you an advantage in 3rd and long.
well, yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
obvious.
he's just a good pass rusher.
Right. Welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen, getting ready for a Week 7 matchup this weekend between the Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. Eagles sitting at 4-2. Vikings coming off a bye week at 3-2. Johnny Mack, how you doing on this Friday morning, brother?
Yeah, getting closer to Sunday. Exciting Thursday night football. You don't hear that very often. One of the things I heard
Thursday games have been better this year, John.
well, I tend to forget them as soon as they're over. That was pretty entertaining, but
Yeah.
I did hear Kirk Herbstreit or might have been Al say, "We've had some great games." I'm like, "What? I was just at a Thursday night game. It wasn't that great." So I didn't know what they were talking about, but maybe they have. I have to look back. But Eagles Giants, obviously, I'm talking about from a Giants perspective. It was great, I guess. But yeah, entertaining game, aesthetic game, and why was it pretty? Because you had two drop back passers throwing the football. Not pretty from a defensive perspective. So everything's in the eye of the beholder, but I think most people like offense and couple 40-year-old guys chucking it around the lot because, hey, there's nobody younger better, so they keep playing.
Yep, no doubt. They were chucking that thing around the lot. John, I think it's fair to ask. I understand, but man, sometimes we just make it look so hard, John. I mean, Jamar
Don't
Chase.
have a pocket passer. Don't have a traditional pocket passer. I mean, I either
Is that
embrace
really
the
all
way.
it boils down to? I guess. I mean, just simple as that. I mean, there were some times where there was a stat that popped up last night, a ticker on how fast. 2 seconds. I mean, literally under 2 seconds on a couple throws. 2 seconds for Joe Flacco just gets that ball out. Everybody knew they were going to Jamar Chase. I mean, where's the predictability crowd? Everybody knew they were going
Yeah.
to Jamar Chase.
20, I had to look it up. 23 targets, Jamar Chase.
23.
Yeah, for the predictability crowd. How many bubble screens did Rodgers throw? Because he's going up to the line of scrimmage, he's looking at the numbers, and he's saying, "All right, we have the advantage outside. Quick bubble screen." You know, it so it's not just pocket pass. It's not the ability to throw the ball. And that dude's 41, and he threw the ball 70 yards to end the game. I'm like, boy, there's a shift in football, and we aren't seeing. And when these guys finally do age out, and there's a reason they continue to play till they're 40, and there's a few others in the league, but very few. Doesn't matter. Your goal as a coach is to win football games if you're Nick Sirianni. So it's not about being pretty, but I've been talking about the aesthetics of the game from the league standpoint, the beauty of the game. They better start paying attention to it.
Meaning what?
At some point, and there's no evidence of this because people keep watching no matter what direct they put out there, but at some point, people might wake up and say, "You know what? This ain't what I cracked it up to be." And I always say, "No, well, it's so popular." It is, but and the younger people don't understand. So was at one time boxing was
Right.
the most popular sport in America. People would sit around their radios to listen to the big fight updates from the Associated Press. In the era of Sugar the Three Kings, so to speak, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, and obviously if you go back to Muhammad Ali, he's maybe the most famous person in the world at one point. And baseball obviously was America's pastime for the vast majority, of the 20th century, before football overtook it. So, just because you're number one doesn't mean you're going to be number one forever. And part of the reason with baseball is not number one, the product.
Right. I wonder what's going to happen with it, John. I don't necessarily disagree, but it was a hell of a football game last night. Joey Flacco, 10 days with the Bengals, comes in, gets 23 targets, 16 catches for Jamar Chase. I think T. Higgins had 100 yards too. So both of those guys were catching the football like crazy. It was a great game last night. John, I do want to get ready for some Eagles-Vikings. I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button. In hour number 2 today, we are going to have Tommy Lawler. Looking forward to talking to Tommy. It's been a little bit. One of our great chat people reached out and said, "Hey, we haven't had Tommy Lawler on. Can you reach out to him?" I'm like, I love Tommy. We just forgot. Sometimes it slips the mind. So we'll have Tommy Lawler on in hour number 2 today. John, what's the latest, man? Yesterday you came in the morning and you surprised me. You surprised me yesterday, John. You're a consistent guy. You don't normally surprise me, John. You hit with the vibes talk yesterday. Well, how was the Thursday practice update from the Birds yesterday? You were down there again, back in the locker room once again. What'd you see yesterday, Thursday, down at practice?
Well, practice is practice this time of year. A little bit more on Thursday than Wednesday. They completely shut us out Wednesday. We got to watch a little bit more. You're not going to learn anything other than saw Landon Dickerson taking some combo blocks with Jordan Mailata, so that's a positive sign. Quinyon Mitchell was doing his normal workout with Adoree Jackson next to Christian Parker. And he was upgraded to a full participant, so that's a positive sign. Jalen Carter was downgraded from full to limited. Now, he already said on Wednesday that he was going to play, so yeah. I think they're just managing him through the week. Because I think Quinyon's the biggest one because of the opponent, because, you're having, we talked about Chase, you're playing Jefferson, and not only Jefferson, but Jordan Addison is back, and Jalen Naylor, their third receiver's a playmaker. Adam Thielen, the one guy is back there who gave Cooper DeJean problems last year, I think. So they have a lot of talent at wide receiver. Not sure the quarterback's going to be able to get them the ball, but that to me is the biggest one for this particular week. And look, it's strange. He played 13 snaps. I'm talking about Quinyon against the Giants, and they sat him down with a hamstring. That's usually a bad sign. Maybe they were being cautious. Maybe it was the MetLife turf. Maybe they took it for granted they were going to beat the New York Giants. Nobody's going to say that. But it is a very strange sort of time frame for that particular injury. But if he's out there, he's presumably it's positive. You would hope they wouldn't be pushing it because that is an injury susceptible to aggravation. That would be my biggest concern. But I presume, you lean on the healthcare professionals, and I presume they're doing their job. So that's a positive sign that he'll likely be out there. Overall, yeah, I think they're going to have a good week. I've had that feeling since early. I think that was a wake-up call. Some of it's just natural. When you get embarrassed one week, you come back and play better the next. And they had a little bit of an extra time. I think the style matches up. I think the Vikings are very poor stopping the run. So I think a lot of things align. And then for a team struggling a little bit with the pass rush, you have a quarterback that holds on to the football. So that should help. And you have an offensive play caller who likes to call a lot of deep routes, a lot of long developing routes. So that gives you an opportunity to sack the quarterback. And if you sack the quarterback, they're terrible. There's only one team maybe worse on third and long situations than the Eagles, and it's the Vikings. So if you get them behind the sticks, you're getting them off the field and 3 and out. So I think it's a favorable matchup for the Eagles as well.
Yeah, we'll see how it all goes this weekend. I do have the Eagles winning the football game. There's still plenty of stuff to talk about, John. We'll get into some of the key matchups in the game. Good news on Quinyon and Carter, and we'll see if they end up fully playing in the game. I guess we'll get another injury report today.
And we'll get the status report today. So you have to rule out guys like Grant Calcaterra will be ruled out. Presumably, I have a hunch that Quignon's going to be listed as questionable, but we'll see. And everybody else, I think, should play. Landon, I don't know if he should play, but I think he will play.
Right.
So pretty healthy. For
Well,
week
that's good. I
7.
mean, we had a lot of talk this week, John, about having to stop Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison with Ringo and Jackson. So we'll see if Quignon's set to go out there. Should be interesting stuff. John, I do want to start before we dive deep into the game. We got to talk about this. Trey Hendrickson talk is all over the place, John. I mean, and it seems to be more than just social media aggregation. Well, what are you seeing there? What do you know? Is there any merit to the Eagles could be a player for a guy like Trey Hendrickson? I mean, the only reason I'm thinking about it is second round pick. What are you going to get him for 10 games, maybe? You know, I don't know if it makes sense. I don't think they would extend that guy. Maybe they would. I think he's 30 or 31 years old. What do you know about the Trey Hendrickson rumors, Johnny Mac?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is just speculation and the fact that they need an edge rusher, and that's the best edge rusher that everybody thinks is available. I think you're seeing the same sort of mentality in San Francisco, but the difference is John Lynch has been honest about it. Not that Howie hasn't been honest, but he's been on record about it, is what I should say. Dallas is, presuming that maybe they should have kept Micah Parsons because they'd be in pretty good shape if they had a pass rush to go with their offense. So I think they're might be in the mix, but they don't have a history of making splashy moves. Indianapolis, because they think they're a Super Bowl contender. These are some of, part of the problem is you do have so much competition at the trade deadline for a player like that. So I would say most of it is speculation. I don't like the fit. I've said that from the start.
I don't love the fit. I mean, I guess he would give you an advantage in third and long.
Well, yeah, I mean that's he's just a good pass rusher,
right.
and
Right.
the Eagles. But I think people forget. And I saw Nolan yesterday. He's coming back. It might not be till after the bye, but Nolan Smith is coming back. And I just don't like the fit. I just don't. I don't think, and I think it would be short term. And you say, yeah, second round pick. It doesn't seem like a Howie move to buy a guy for 10 games in the playoffs.
I mean, he bought Robert Quinn for a 4th round pick. I know it's way different.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah,
that is big. But they won with this team. Premium, not the premium picks, which means 1, 2, 3,
right,
are big difference than day 3 picks. But even when they traded for Kelly Ringo on the draft and moved a future 3, like that was a big deal, and it hasn't worked out, obviously. And it second round pick is valuable in their minds. So now, are they going to get a player like Trey Hendrickson in the second round? Probably not. But again, they're not going to have Trey Hendrickson long term.
Yeah,
it's like a baseball. You're buying somebody to make a run. I don't know.
Do the Eagles have multiple second round picks next year, or just one? I know they have a bunch of picks, but I don't know how many seconds they have.
I haven't been keeping up. I'd have to look it up, but they have a ton of picks. But yeah, they've been making so many trades, all with their day 3 picks. Again, they're willing to give up day 3 picks, even for somebody like Tank Bixby, obviously.
Yeah. They have 3 threes. They do not have 2 twos. So they have 1, 1, 1, 2, and 3 threes, according to the latest article from Jimmy Kempski on Philly Voice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to make a move. One of the guys we spoke about way back Ebiketie from Atlanta. I think it's more like in that range.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe maybe if you're looking for splasher, maybe one of the two Dolphins edge rushers, because Vic has a history with them, and they could pick it up. Yeah, and they could kick it up. They could pick it up faster. So maybe that makes some sense. Just from a young talent perspective, Jermaine Johnson, if the Jets want to get rid of him, I don't. Maybe that would be an avenue. But I don't think the Eagles would want to give up a second-round pick. I think that's what I saw, and that now that you looked into it, they would probably try to push 2/3 or something like that. And I don't see the fit. I'd be like, Trey Hendrickson dropping in the flat. Now Vic shouldn't do that, but one of the few things I'll criticize Vic about is, if you got a guy similar to Bryce Hupp last year, and Trey Hendrickson's much better than Bryce Hupp, but you see Bryce in San Francisco doing some nice things. They don't ask him to do what he can't do. That's part of it. So he would definitely be the best pass rusher on the team by a wide margin. But I do think it's out of sight, out of mind, man. When you're on injured reserve, it's like everybody forgets you exist. Nolan Smith is coming back.
Yeah, but even with Nolan Smith, this is not a good enough edge room. I mean, John,
I agree with that. I agree.
Before we acquired Zadarius, though, we said the same thing. Now Zadarius is back gone. You know what I mean? Like, we're back in the same spot.
I agree with that, but I'm just saying it's not where you have to be desperate. That's off-season work. Like, that's an off-season problem. Not oh, shit. And by the way, they're still in first place. And by the way, if they win this game, which I think they will, everything will be back and people will calm down. Not everything is that urgent. I don't think buying somebody from 10 games is the Philadelphia Eagles' idea of good football, good winning football. But we'll see. Maybe they're desperate. They certainly act like it. After the first loss, it was like a catastrophe. Like a loss in the NFL. It's like a catastrophe.
Yeah.
So, maybe they've amped up their expectations enough to veer off their normal course, but I don't think this makes sense from the way they normally do business, is how I'll describe it.
I agree. I don't think they're going to make the move there, but we'll see what they end up doing. If it does come to fruition, obviously the team is looking to make a move, or at least expected to be in the conversation. There was credible reports that the Eagles were in the conversation. Doesn't mean they'll make the move.
Well, like all about everybody.
That's what I mean. They're in every conversation. They're gauging the market as they always are. So not sure how much stock to put in it or not. We will keep you posted on any of the updates that come there.